What you want to do in the beginning is get your onions and your garlic sauteing, and then cook it off with a little bit of white wine. Leave the white wine flavor, and then we'll throw in the tomatoes and get this going. But you'll be surprised how quickly this dish comes together. And does everybody like seafood here? Okay, good. Myself, I would put a bunch of very spicy peppers in it because I like everything hot. But the French tend to eat nothing really spicy hot, so you won't see very many classical French dishes with more than peppercorns in it. They don't really go for heat. Even when they do a curry, they like it sweet and just the essence of the curry, no heat. So this is sort of the dish comes from the garlic and the tomatoes and the white wine and the onions. And actually Provençal sauce would be sort of a similar beginning for your soup or your bouillabaisse. And one of the most important things when you're doing a seafood stew is this part. It doesn't really matter how long you cook it for, because if it cooks a little bit longer, it's still going to have the flavors. How long you cook your seafood really matters, because it goes from great to very quickly, especially like shrimp. It can either get too chewy or cook them a little bit longer and it becomes mushy actually. So get our onions going. And I'm just going to put a little bit of olive oil. You could use olive oil or some butter. It's just really to get the sauteing going. And I almost always use fresh garlic. I don't mind the peeled stuff, but I definitely don't like the already crushed stuff. It's got a funny flavor to it. The onions are getting to me. This was such a good day. A good way to get your garlic easily peeled, just put a little pressure on it, and the skin will peel right off. And if you want to mince it, something like this, if you use mince is usually something you're going to cook right away. You want to get all the flavor out of it. It's not going to cook for a long time, or maybe it's a marinade. If you're doing a stew, it's going to cook for 4 or 6 hours. Throw the whole clove in there, or chop. It's going to dissolve anyway, so it's just no reason to take the time. But if you hate using those, or I should say hate cleaning the garlic mincers, the presses, one way you can mince your garlic is to actually use the back of your knife. So put your handle over the cutting board, and you're sort of shaving it off is what you're doing. And you just run your knife through it a little bit. And you really can't use too much garlic if you're cooking. Don't be shy. If you like it, throw 4 or 5 cloves extra in. No one will complain, I promise you. You don't want to let your garlic get real dark, because it can get a little bit bitter. So really, when we saute it, we're just sweating the onions. Do a little bit of caramelization, which is the sugars that are naturally in the onions. And then if you're getting close to burning something, that's when it's great to grab the wine, or it's sort of like your fire extinguisher for your food. You can use canned tomatoes. Use them diced. They usually have plenty of flavor. The only thing you need to think about is they usually have some citric acid in it. So near the end of your dish, check and see how that citric acid worked out. And you've got the acid of the wine too. If it's a little too sour, a little bit of honey, a little bit of sugar, bring that balance out. So you can always counteract something, but wait till near the end, because you've concentrated all these flavors. See how the flavors work out, and then adjust near the end. So the diced tomatoes, of course, in Provençal France, they'd probably have a cow if I used diced tomatoes, but there are plenty of flavor in them, and they're actually left on the vine a lot longer than the tomatoes we buy at the supermarket, because they don't have to be shipped. They pretty much go down the road and go to a factory and get chopped up and canned. And this is really, overall, this is pretty simple flavors. The major reason you don't want to put a ton of seasoning, a ton of different herbs and stuff in there, is because all this flavor from the seafood is going to come out, and that's really what makes a bouillabaisse, is the seafood flavor. So if you put too much of something in there, it'll overpower the subtle flavors of the seafood. Now, if you're really classical into cooking and you got your fish bones, or you're in a restaurant, you can make a fish stock. If you don't have a need to make fish stock, like I would never make fish stock, some shrimp bouillon works pretty well. And you can usually find this in most of the markets, definitely the ethnic ones. And you also think of the bouillon as your salt. So it's got salt, plenty of salt in it, but it also has a shrimpy flavor. So if you add it and you go, oh, this is salty enough, then you're pretty much at the same level. You want to be salt and flavor-wise at the same time. If you tried to salt it and then make up with the shrimp flavor, you'd be too salty, in other words. And you're really looking for pretty much the soup I've got right there. And I'm going to add all the seafood all at the very end, all at once, and then it's just going to take a couple minutes to cook, because everything's going to be approximately the same size and take the same amount of time. And that way we don't overcook anything. Now the shrimp, they're deveined, but I left the shells on for two reasons. It gives your guests something to do while they're eating, and there's all this flavor in the shells, so it's another good flavor to add to the bouillabaisse. This is sort of a bib dinner. Do we have bibs? Oh. This is actually a good one you can make on the beach too. Put everything in. I generally put a white fish in, a solid like a cod or ling cod, but what I saw at the market today I didn't like, so I thought, well, salmon looks nice and fresh, so I'll use that. And you can see in there that the shrimp are already turning pink, so it cooks pretty quickly. So put that on there for a little bit, keep the heat in. Pretty good. Just needs a little bit of pepper. And we'll take a little bit of this green onion for garnish here. It's always nice to finish a little something off with an imposing color. Is usually the way I think of it. I was watching a TV commercial last night for Albertsons, and they had asparagus, and they're displaying it on a green plate. I'm like, hey, we do better than that. But you always want to, if you got some red going, throw some green on there. Serve it with a little bit of sourdough bread. Throw your green onions on there. And you have a pretty darn quick bouillabaisse. Seafood bouillabaisse. You guys like to try some? I got extra. Yeah? Okay. So I think I'm out of bowls. 1 second.